We've got to try and help the Russians in every way that we can to make ready to meet the spring offensive of Hitler. I appreciate there are some people in this country who are still afraid of the spread of the Russian ideology, but what they've got to recollect is that if we are friendly with Russia and have an arrangement of cooperation with them, any dangers which they fear will be very much less. As a matter of fact, the Soviet Union have no idea and no wish to interfere with the internal affairs of any other country. I know that from the lips of Stalin himself.
Are killed, and they even make soap out of them. I know that. I know that directly from first hand. You can be sure it is that way.
Futile attempts, which they knew by any logic that they can't succeed, to jump out from the lorries, which takes them to the gas chambers, which are only perhaps less than a mile away, and which were already stoked, and the fire was coming out from the chimneys. And the fire was coming out from the chimneys.
There was a man in the United States called Henry C. Morgenthau, who was the Secretary of the Treasury and a very close friend of the President, Franklin Roosevelt. And Morgenthau wanted vengeance on the Germans. And he drew up what became called the Morgenthau Plan. And he presented this plan to Churchill and Roosevelt at a meeting which was held in Quebec City in Canada in 1944. Roosevelt and Churchill signed the plan to reduce the population of Germany. The death of 20 million people was approved, and then the press got a hold of this in the States and Canada. So Roosevelt, in the autumn of 1944, disowned the plan and said, "Oh, I don't know how I could have signed that." But he did. So he said, "Of course we won't do that." But then they went ahead secretly, planning to do just that. And the deaths of the prisoners was the first step, and the deaths of millions of civilians more by starvation. I only revealed the French and the American. The Russians finally revealed their own deaths, which was 500,000 German prisoners. So the Allies between them killed off 1.5 million Germans in camps after the war. The whole of Germany from 1945 to 1950, it was just a prison. We ran it, and we said what happened there. Nobody can emigrate, and so on. And the government has to do what we say. And you can't have an army, on and on and on. We ran things. And the Germans were re-educated. All their textbooks were rewritten. They destroyed all the old ones and made them write new ones. You'll see in other losses that there was a group of university academics writing about the prisoners of war. Willy Brandt. He took over the books that these academics were putting together, and he told them not to say anything that would upset the Americans.
I brought that guy back from Israel, John Deminick. It was my Freedom of Information Act which proved not only that he was innocent, but who Ivan really was. The case was so sensitive, members of Congress would say, Jim, I love you, but please, don't involve me. I sent my evidence to the Sixth Circuit Court in Cincinnati. They wouldn't accept it. I finally sent it over to Israel, to the Israeli Supreme Court, and they called me over there, and I went with the family. I did a live interview, satellite, with Brian Gumbel, and I said, when they put this innocent man to death, they're going to lose $15 to $20 billion every year they get from the American taxpayers. And Brian Gumbel says, what are you talking about? They only get $3 billion. And I said, Brian, that's only the foreign aid bill. Look at all the other trade compacts, economic assistance, military assistance. I'm saying this to you right now. Israel gets approximately $15 billion a year from the American taxpayers. That $15 billion is $30,000 for every man, woman, and child. And people in my district are losing their pension benefits. So I was targeted big time.
Ja, das deutsche Volk war ja damals eine Demokratie vor uns. Und es ist ausgeplündert und ausgepresst worden. Nein, was heißt für diese internationalen Hyänen? Das interessiert die gar nicht. Es interessiert sie nur eines. Ist jemand bereit, sich ausplündern zu lassen? Ja oder nein? Ist jemand dumm genug, dabei stillzuhalten? Ja oder nein? Und wenn eine Demokratie dumm genug ist, dabei stillzuhalten, dann ist sie gut. Und wenn ein autoritärer Staat erklärt, ihr plündert unser Volk nicht aus, weder innen noch außen, dann